Prithvi Shantirantariksha Shantir Dyav Shantir Disha Shantiravantara Disha Shantiragni Shantir Vayu Shantiraditya Shantish Chandrama Shantir Nakshatra Vashantiroshadaya Shantir Vanaspataya Shantir Gau Shantiraja Shantirashva Shantir Purusha Shantir Brahma Shantir Brahmana Shantir Shantireva Shanti Shantir Me Astu Shantihi. May there be peace on earth and in the sky. May there be peace in the water and in all directions. May there be peace in the plants, in the trees, and in animals. May there be peace in the hearts of all beings. May there be peace in everyone and in everything. Sarvetra sukhinas santu, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhaved, sarvastaratu durgani, sarvo bhadrani pashyatu, sarvas sadbuddhimapnotu, sarvas sarvatra nandatu. May all be happy and healthy. May all see what is good, and may no one experience misery. May all overcome their obstacles and acquire good tendencies. May people everywhere find joy and fulfillment. Let us now spend some time touching the center of peace and joy in our hearts. A good way to begin the practice is to withdraw the scattered energies of the mind and bring them to rest on one point. That point can be our own breathing. Let us therefore practice breathing with awareness. As we breathe in, let us visualize that our body and mind are being filled with love, strength, and compassion. And as we breathe out, let us release all the stress, anxiety, and exhaustion in the body and mind. Let us practice this way for a while. Let us now turn our attention to the region of our heart. Although God is present everywhere and in everyone, the divine presence can be felt most clearly in our own hearts. We can meditate in any way we have been taught. To remain focused, we can take the help of a short mental prayer or a mantra or a divine name. Let us now spend some time dwelling on the presence of God in our hearts. Shanti 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 Harihi Om.
We will sing Manre Krishikash Janana on page 25.
Good morning, dear friends. Today I will read My First Visit to the Holy Mother by Swami Tyagananda from the book Sharada Devi, Great Wonder. This book was presented to me by my father when I was leaving India for the first time. And this book, specifically the story which I'm going to read, gave me much needed strength during that time when I was all alone in Boston by myself. Story goes as follows. It was October 1891, though I had already passed about a year of my novitiate at the Barangnagar monastery in the company of the sannyasin disciplines of the master. Still, I had no opportunity to see the Holy Mother. We learned that Sri Sri Ma had resolved to worship the goddess Jagdatri in her paternal home at Jairambati, and that revered Sharat Maharaj was to go there with some other devotees, carrying from Calcutta the numerous articles necessary for the festival. Quite unexpectedly, Sharat Maharaj asked me one day, "Well, boy, would you like to accompany us?" I was overwhelmed with joy at this most welcome proposal and made hurried preparations for the journey. The party consisted of 6: Sharat Maharaj, Shondal Mahashay, Haramohan Mitra, Gulab Ma, Yogin Ma, and myself. We reached Bardhavan by train and undertook the bullock cart journey early at dawn. The night was passed at Kamarpukur, the birthplace of Sri Ramakrishna. The quiet village surroundings and the sacred associations thrilled me. Since it was my first visit to the place, the remaining part of the day I utilized in seeing the places intimately connected with Sri Ramakrishna's boyhood and youth. Next morning, we left for Jairambati. After 4 miles of walking and then crossing the river Amodar brought us to Jairambati and the feet of Holy Mother. She kissed me by touching my chin with her hands. How happy the mother felt at our arrival. She seemed to be utterly at a loss as to how she could make us comfortable. All that she did ceaselessly for our entertainment from dawn to night did not appear to her sufficient. She herself cooked both morning and evening. There was something ethereal about that taste. She would be sitting close by as we took our meals and insisted that we must eat more. My appetite had increased the more so because the food was cooked by the mother herself. Sometimes we would prepare some curry, which Sri Ramakrishna liked. 4 of us, Sharat Maharaj, Haramohan Babu, Shondal Mahashay, and myself, were accommodated in a small room in the outer compartment of the house. The back door of our room opened into the inner courtyard, having at its other end the thatched cottage of the mother. Sometimes, when this door was kept open, I could see her in the veranda of her cottage, dressing vegetables or doing some other household work. Having nothing specific to do here besides meditation and japa, chanting, plenty of eating and sleeping, and afternoon strolls by the riverside, I had voluntarily taken up the task of plucking flowers and bay leaves for the puja. As I was very young then, the mother did not maintain her usual bashfulness in my presence. The Jagratri festival has started and was carried out with great eclat. According to the family custom, the worship continued for 3 days. The clay image of the goddess was exceedingly beautiful, the face reflecting very vividly the divine compassion of the Mother of the world. One felt that she had really come in flesh and blood to accept the offerings of her earthly children. Shri Ma herself would be seen standing near the place of worship with folded hands during Aarti and sometime fanning the goddess. All the days she was intensely occupied with other ladies in arrangement for the puja and cooking. People from far and near had assembled to see the image. Many hundreds were fed every day. Finally, the immersion ceremony was a moving sight. Holy Mother and also other ladies burst into tears. We too were affected by the sorrow of the imminent separation. Days passed in supreme happiness in Jairambati, but as ill luck would have it, all the four of us simultaneously had a sudden attack of malaria a few days after the celebrations. In that small room, we lay in adjoining beds, shivering with high temperature. The worries of the mother knew no bounds. One could hear her exclaim, "Oh, what a pity, my sons are suffering so much. What a wretched, out-of-the-way village this is. No sagu and milk are available here." She would now and then come near the door of her room and inquire about her conditions from outside. How much affection and sympathy I noticed in her eyes then. With a ball in hand, the Holy Mother would go begging to the houses that kept cows for a little milk for her sick children. People in those localities, mainly agricultural folk, paid more attention to bullocks that cultivated their land. Cows were neglected, and hence the output of milk was scanty. Mother could barely collect 1/2 or 1 pound of milk. Anyway, we recovered after some days and took to our normal diet. So as soon as we felt sufficiently strong to undertake the return journey, we decided to depart. Mother insisted on our staying for some time more to pick up a little more vigor. We, however, were firm in our resolves and ultimately secured her consent. The bullock carts were ready. We finished our meals and took our seat after taking leave of the mother. The Holy Mother was standing at a distance in front of the back door of the house and silently watching the scene. Tears rolled down from her eyes. Her face had swelled and turned reddish. With the thought that we were going far away from the mother, we too felt a pang in our hearts. The carts moved on. Mother was slowly following us from a distance. Repeatedly, we implored her to return, but she would not listen. At last, the carts passed Talpukur and entered the extensive fields outside the village. As long as I could notice from inside the cart, I found Mother standing by the side of the pond with her eyes fixed on us. While at home, I had loved my mother intensely, and she too had abundant affection for me. But could that love stand comparison with such inconceivable kindness and care as flowed from the Holy Mother? From what scanty description I had heard of her previously, I could little imagine what she actually was. Who could have pictured that she was such a mother who would draw all my mind and soul and make me her very own? What a limitless love and favor, and that to a humble, unworthy son. It is surely incomprehensible for one who has not seen the Holy Mother and lived through this experience himself. Thank you.
I will read a few passages from the book Sri Sharada Devi and Her Divine Play, from the chapter on Holy Mother and Western Women. Holy Mother and Sister Nivedita. Holy Mother's relationship with Nivedita was sweet and touching, yet awe-inspiring. From the beginning, Nivedita occupied a special place in Holy Mother's heart. During Nivedita's first visit to Holy Mother, Swamiji was a bit apprehensive. Holy Mother had been born and brought up in an Orthodox Brahmin family in a village. She was not familiar with Western etiquette, and she did not know English. How would she receive his Western disciples? Swamiji sent his disciple, Swami Swarupananda, as an interpreter. When Swarupananda brought Nivedita to Holy Mother, she asked her name. Nivedita replied, "My name is Miss Margaret Elizabeth Noble." Swarupananda translated Holy Mother's Bengali. "My child, I shall not be able to utter such a long name. I will call you Kuki." Nivedita said joyfully, "Yes, yes, I am Mother's baby." She then went to Swamiji and said, "Mother blessed me by touching my head, allowing me to bow down and touch her feet, offered prasad, and said she would call me Kuki." Swamiji was overjoyed. Nivedita began to learn Bengali from Swarupananda so that she could speak to Holy Mother directly. In the beginning, despite Golap Ma's opposition, Holy Mother kept Nivedita in her residence on Bospara Lane so that she could teach Nivedita Hindu manners and customs. She ate her meals with Nivedita and encouraged her activities for women's education. At Swami Vivekananda's request, Nivedita moved and started a school for girls. It seems that Nivedita left India in October 1910 for America to see Miss Cerebral during her illness, and also to raise funds for her school in Calcutta. Like the disciples of Ramakrishna, Nivedita was aware of Holy Mother's spiritual greatness. One day she went to a church in Boston where she saw the Madonna as Holy Mother. On her return home, she noted down in her diary, "Went to church, saw Sharada Devi as Madonna. Her presence will sanctify," and she immediately wrote a letter to Holy Mother. "Beloved Mother, this morning early I went to church to pray for Sarah. All the people there were thinking of Mary, the mother of Jesus, and suddenly I saw you. I thought of you, your dear face, and your loving look, and your white sari and your bracelets. It was all there. And it seemed to me that yours was the presence that was to soothe and bless poor Sarah's sick room. And do you know, I thought I had been very foolish to sit in your room at the evening service to Sri Ramakrishna trying to meditate. Why did I not understand that it was quite enough to be a little child at your dear feet? Dear Mother, you are full of love, and it is not a flushed and violent love like ours, and like the world's, but a gentle peace that brings good to everyone and wishes ill to none. It is a golden radiance full of play. One day, Nivedita and Sister Christine visited Holy Mother. Nivedita said in Bengali, and Christine repeated in English, "Oh, Mother is our Kali." At this, Holy Mother said with a laugh, "No, my children, I can't be Kali or any such thing. I would have to stick out my tongue." When this was translated to them, they said, No, you won't have to take that trouble. We shall regard you as our Mother Kali. Sri Ramakrishna is our Shiva." Holy Mother said with a smile, "Well, that might be all right then." They left after taking the dust of her feet. In 1900, when Nivedita went to America to collect funds for her school, Holy Mother dictated a letter to her that Sharadananda translated into English. Here's an excerpt from that letter. "My dear love to you, baby daughter Nivedita. I am so glad to learn you have prayed to the Lord for my eternal peace. You are a manifestation of the ever-blissful Mother. I look at your photo, which is with me every now and then, and it seems as if you are present with me. I long for the day in the year when you shall return. May the prayers you have uttered for me from the heart of your pure virgin soul be answered. I am well and happy. I pray to the Lord that he might help you in your noble efforts and keep you strong and happy. I pray, too, for your quick return. May he fulfill your desires about the women's home in India, and may that would-be home fulfill its mission in teaching true Dharma to all. He, the breath of the universe, is singing his own praise, and you are hearing that eternal song through things that will come to an end. The trees, the birds, the hills, and all are singing praises to the Lord. The Banyan of Dakshineshwar sings of Kali to be sure, and blessed is he who has ears to hear it. My dear, love to you and blessings and prayers for your spiritual growth. You are doing excellent work indeed, but do not forget your Bengali, else I will not be able to understand you when you come back. It gave me such a delight to learn that you are speaking of Dhruva, Savitri, Sita, Rama, and so on there. The accounts of their holy lives are better than all the vain talk of the world, I am sure. Oh, how beautiful are the name and doings of the Lord. Yours, Mother. Holy Mother bestowed her grace on the Vedanta and remarked, her outside is white, meaning her skin, her inside is white, meaning pure. Nivedita wrote about Holy Mother. The mother can read, and much of her time is passed with her Ramayana, but she does not write. Yet it is not to be supposed that she is an uneducated woman. It must be remembered that as the wife of Sri Ramakrishna, she has enjoyed the highest opportunity of personal development that is possible to enjoy. At every moment, she bears unconscious witness to this association with the great. But in nothing, perhaps, does it speak more loudly than in her instant power to penetrate a new religious idea, feeling, or idea. I first realized this gift in Holy Mother on the occasion of a visit that she paid us in recent years on the afternoon of a certain Easter day. Before that, probably I had always been too much absorbed when with her in striving to learn what she represented to think of observing her in the contrary position. On this particular occasion, however, after going over our whole house, the mother and her party expressed a desire to rest in the chapel and hear something of the meaning of Christian festival. This was followed by Easter music and singing with our small French organ, and in the swiftness of her comprehension and the depth of her sympathy with the resurrection hymns, unimpeded by any foreignness or unfamiliarity in them, we saw revealed for the first time one of the most impressive aspects of the great religious culture of Sharada Devi. The same power is seen to a certain extent in all the women about her, who were touched by the hand of Sri Ramakrishna, but in her it has all the strength and certainty of some high and arduous form of scholarship. The same trait came out again one evening when in the midst of her little circle, Holy Mother asked Christine and myself to describe a European wedding. With much fun and laughter, personating now the Christian Brahmin, and again the bride and groom, we complied. But we were neither of us prepared for the effect of the marriage vow, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part, were words that drew exclamations of delight from all about us, but none appreciated them as did the mother. Again and again, she had them repeated to her. Oh, the dharmi words, the righteous words, she said.
We will be singing this morning, Thou Art All That Exists, or Tujise Hamne, which is on the last page, page 4, or the next to the last page, 45. And this is the translation. I have given my heart to thee. Thou art all that exists. Thee only have I found. Thou art all that exists. Beloved of my heart, thou art the home of all. Where indeed is the heart in which thou dost not dwell? Thou hast entered my heart, thou art all that exists. Whether angel or man, whether Hindu or Mussulman, thou makest them as thou wilt. Thou art all that exists. Whether in temple or in Kaaba, thy presence is everywhere. Before thee all must bow. Thou art all that exists. From high heaven to earth below, from earth below to high heaven, I see thee wherever I look. Thou art all that exists. Pondering, I have understood and clearly seen. I have found out that there is none like you. Now it has been revealed to Jafar, thou art all that exists.
Asato ma satkamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya, avirāvirmayeti, rudrayatte dakshinam mukham, tena mam pahi nityam. May the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the Divine Consciousness fill our hearts and protect us. Two days ago on Thursday actually, Friday morning, I got a letter from an email from a student in Pittsburgh saying that, asking a question, and the problem was this. The student wrote that with a very depressing scenario in the world today, with headlines which just keep on telling us in the papers how terrible things have been happening everywhere. How do I cope with it? I find myself overwhelmed by all the negativity that's happening all around. And I didn't answer that email right away, and I was thinking to myself how I should respond to that. And it just so happened that on Friday evening I was invited to the screening of a documentary. And the documentary is titled Tashi and the Monk. Some of you may have heard about it. This was a documentary which received several awards in recent months, including an Emmy. So this is the basic information, and I'll then explain why and how this short movie helped me answer the question of that student. So this is the information about that documentary. It said 8 years ago, a Buddhist monk, Lobsang Phuntsok, handpicked by the Dalai Lama to share Tibetan Buddhism with the West, felt called to leave a life as a spiritual teacher in the US and return to the region of his birth to try and rescue children from suffering. Since then, he has created a unique community in the foothills of the Himalayas called the Jamtse Gatsal. It's a Tibetan for the Garden of Love and Compassion, which provides a permanent home for 85 orphaned or abandoned children, all learning to live compassionately. Lobsang has channeled his own unhappy childhood into an opportunity for these uninvited guests of the universe to avoid a similar fate. Driven by a longing to experience being part of a family, he has become for the children at Jamse Gatsal something he never had, a father. Perched on a remote mountaintop and surrounded by poverty, today the community is stretched beyond capacity, and Lobsang faces the heartbreaking task of weighing the requests he receives for new kids to join. During the film, he is confronted by the very real consequences of his decisions. A local 11-year-old boy, who he turned down 2 years ago for a place in the community, commits suicide. In a nearby village, another young boy's father dies suddenly, and his family, unable to cope, plead with Lobsang to take him in. Within the community, he is challenged by concerns from staff that any further expansion will compromise their ability to help the kids they already have. Alongside Lobsang's work, the film tells the story of Tashi Drolma, Jamset's newest arrival, who recently lost her mother and was abandoned by her alcoholic father. A wild and troubled 5-year-old, Tashi Drolma is a big personality in a small body. Despite or because of a challenging temperament, she is thrillingly alive. Tashi struggles initially to find her place amongst 84 new siblings. Gradually, as Lobsang and the community work their magic, we witness her transformation from alienation and tantrums into someone capable of making her very first real friend. The atmosphere of warmth and support at Jamse Gatsal provides a backdrop to the unfolding stories. Full of children who elsewhere might be classified as at risk, after experiencing often unimaginable trauma in their short lives, this is the kind of institution that in the West would be staffed by psychologists and social workers, relying on an arsenal of medication to keep their charges under control. But here, the staff have no formal training, and children are simply invited to become active members of a community and participants in their own and each other's healing. The results are remarkable. In a region where the only prospects are a life in the fields or breaking rocks beside the road, the lucky few at Chamse are given a shot at something much greater, the chance to become, in Lobsang's words, amazing human beings. If you get a chance, I would encourage you all to see that. It was a very profoundly moving experience. And at the end of that, several thoughts came to mind, and I was asking myself, what do we learn from seeing something like this happening in some remote mountaintop in the northeastern corner of India, a state called Arunachal Pradesh, which is where Lobsang was. This movie has been completely unscripted, and it wasn't that the monk himself did not invite these people to make a movie. There were two people from UK who were visiting, and they saw it, and they were very charmed by what they saw. They were just trekking, hiking there probably, and then they requested whether they could take some footage of what was going on. And the monk allowed them. And so even these people who were filming all this had no idea what they were going to do with this film. But they just kind of filmed whatever was happening throughout. And I think they probably stayed there a few, 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. And at the end of it, it just turned out that they found that there was this one little 5-year-old girl named Tashi. And she pretty much appeared. She was so active presence in that whole community. She appeared in most clips. And so then they decided to kind of create a narrative around how this little girl was a new member of that community, how life changed for her even in that short time. This monk, in another interview, has said that he himself had a very difficult childhood. He was born to an unwed mother. He's a Tibetan, and was practically, and because of the circumstances of his birth, it was very difficult. But he said it was his grandparents who raised him, and because of the circumstances in which he was raised, he said he turned out to be extremely naughty, extremely troublesome. Nevertheless, his grandparents somehow had faith in him. They tolerated all the naughtiness. In fact, it was not just kind of a cute kind of naughtiness. It was pretty bad. He would go and he said break windows of neighbors' homes and anything of what today we might classify as a troubled kid, as a kid that needs special attention. But it was simply through the love and compassion he received from his grandparents. And but they were not very wealthy either. They couldn't afford, but they somehow felt that if we give love and understanding and trust this little child, something may come of it. And when he was 7 years old, whatever little savings they had, his grandfather gave it to him and said they decided to send him to a monastery. Now this one is the northeastern part of India, right up in the north, and there is a big Tibetan Buddhist community in southern part of India near Mysore. And so they sent a 7-year-old kid with some little money. He traveled all the way across the subcontinent, went to that monastery in Mysore. And then he explained in the interview, right, it was difficult, but there's a lot of discipline and the kind you can expect in a monastery. But he said even there, being under the care of some people, the monks who, again, showed that great faith and trust and love and compassion, and he grew up as a monk. Then he came here, was for 7 years in the United States to teach Tibetan Buddhism. And around, I think, 2000, about 10 or 11 years ago, he gave a talk here in Concord, Massachusetts. And there, and among some others who seemed open to his teachings, he expressed to them that he had this desire to go and do something in the village in which he was born, because during his annual visits to India, where he was raised, he found many other little children who were either neglected or who were poor or who were kind of abandoned. And he saw in them the reflection of his own childhood. And recognizing how he was benefited, he said, I want to go and do something for them. And so there were people here in the United States, they started a non-profit, and they said, we were ready to help you. And he goes back and he starts this community of children. So as is in the thing that I read just now, he said the people who are managing it are not trained psychologists or social workers or anything. What they do is they just provide a very warm, healthy environment. It's like one big family of 85 children, and this monk has kind of become their father. They all kind of address him as their father. And how much satisfaction it has brought him, along with a lot of, it's difficult because there is a lot of demand. He says for every kid that he accepts in that community, he has to say no to at least 10 or 20 others. So it's a difficult work. It's not easy. But after seeing this, and now because we even know that this community exists because this particular film got made and it got awards, and that's why it's even come to the public eye. But this particular thing that's happening is not an exception. What brings hope for all of us and for the future of the world in which we live is that there are several people in these local communities in different parts of the world who are doing something that is meaningful, something that is uplifting. They may never make headlines. Most of us may not even know about their existence or what is being done. But at the local level, a lot is being done. And because such people with some values, some principles, some idealism still exist in the world in which we live, that is what is keeping the world sane. Because if we just go by what we get to see on the news and on the internet and what's always being talked about on all these 24-hour news channels, it doesn't look hopeful. But let us remember that there are such people, and more importantly, every one of us has that capacity, has that potential, has that power to make some little change. We all may not be able to start a community even like this, but to whatever extent we can, even if we can be of help, it doesn't even have to be to strangers. We can be that kind of a support to our own family, to a couple of our friends, or someone in the neighborhood. To whatever little extent we are able to do something meaningful in our lives, something that can bring a little bit of cheer, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of hope, that would be something that would be a truly fulfilling work. The kind of satisfaction you'll get, not any less than even a person who gets the Nobel Prize. It's not about how well-known we become or how much news we create, but it's the satisfaction of doing something that is truly meaningful in our lives. Swami Vivekananda once said, we know the extent of how much he has achieved, but he said that if in my entire life I can help one person in whatever little way I can, I will consider my life to be a success. And therefore, this documentary that I saw, that it really was very inspiring. It just brings so much hope that every one of us can bring about some change. And this change will obviously begin with us. So first, we'll have to try to take ourselves, every one of us can take ourselves as close to the ideal we have in our own hearts. Whatever we can think of being an ideal human being, a kind of person we would like to have as a friend. And I can say, well, can I become myself the kind of friend I would like to have? And to the extent I'm able to bring about some change within me, and to the extent I'm able to help even one other person in life with absolutely no self-interest involved, without any expectation of any kind, we will be able to make the world a much better place. So it's not about being frustrated with the situation, not being about how awful things are, but it's about every one of us taking responsibility and doing something about it. So this was a very positive, hopeful message that came after seeing this. And this is then what I wrote to that student who had written to me about it. So I would encourage you, I have put a link to some information about this on the center's Facebook page. And well, nowadays you can just Google it and see, you will find something. But yeah, so today I would encourage you to give some thought to this. And it was appropriate that today that we just had the two readings we had in the beginning were on Holy Mother, because on Holy Mother's life we just see she's an embodiment that the tremendous power of love and compassion, the more our heart is filled with love and compassion, that is what will automatically come out through the thoughts that we think, through the words that we speak, and through our actions. And the Mother, Holy Mother, can be a great inspiration about how we should lead our own lives. And it's also, I just thought, this thought came to me when the reading was being done. It was, thank you for selecting that passage with Sister Nivedita, because this year is being observed as Sister Nivedita's 150th birth anniversary. It's being observed in many parts of the world. In fact, last week, one session at Harvard on Thursday was dedicated to, in observance of Nivedita's 150th anniversary. And if you have not had a chance to look at it, I would encourage you to do so. So she has some very constructive, very positive, some very original contributions, especially in the field of art and education. She was one of the pioneers of women's education in India, and she, well, her life is inspiring, and I would encourage you to read a little bit about her. Her original name was Margaret Noble. She was an Irish woman, and that amazing life. The Nivedita was the name that Swami Vivekananda gave her. Nivedita in Sanskrit means the dedicated one. So there is a lot. There is so many great models that we have, and that really fills the heart with tremendous hope and tremendous positive feeling for the future of the world, for the future of for the next generation, our children and their grandchildren. Om Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Next Sunday, our satsang subject will be questions about God. On two earlier Sundays, we saw questions about the world, questions about the self. So next Sunday, we'll discuss questions about God. On Wednesday, we will continue with the study of Narada Bhakti Sutra, that's 7:30. On Tuesday and Saturday, our Arati and meditation will also continue as usual. On Thursday, this Thursday, getting ready for the festival of Diwali, we will observe Kali Puja as we do every year. So Thursday evening, the puja will begin at 6:30 and is expected to finish around 9 or 9:30. As usual, the puja, there will be prayer, meditation, there will be worship, and there will be flower offering, and then there will be prasad. So all of you are welcome for the puja and all the programs throughout the week. We'll do the prayer and then we will have Sarva Mangala at the end. May the Divine Being, who is the Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, the Great Spirit of the Native Americans, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May we be granted strength, freedom, and clear understanding. May we learn to see God in our own hearts and in everyone around us. May God bless us all and fill our hearts with gratitude, grace, and love. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto you.